let's see, April 4th, 1968, my furthest memory. Till today, it has not gone away. Just as any traumatic event, this wasn't to me, it wasn't to my family, it was a shot, and let's just say the most traumatic thing that could happen to black people, and that was the assassination of Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King, 20 minutes ago, died. I would like to take this opportunity to ask Reverend John Genzel, who is the jazz minister, to lead all of us in prayer for Martin Luther King and the future of all civil rights movements. Would you please rise?
Some very sad news for all of you, and I think sad news for all of our fellow citizens and people who love peace all over the world. And that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
Luther King. America. I remember this vividly because, let's see, I was 5.5, almost 6 years old, and I remember seeing military troops riding up Georgia Avenue in Washington, D.C. Seeing troops in the back of those trucks, I won't forget it. And then watching the smoke from the fires that were burning, from every adult that was around me, and you can feel that vibration. You know, just as we are empathetic people and we see someone else crying, we want to cry. We feel bad when other people feel bad, hopefully. Well, just imagine the television, every adult around you weeping, sobbing, crying. So that's my furthest memory, which till today, especially today, is very vivid after watching what's going on in D.C. now at Lafayette Park across from the White House. So I lived in a black neighborhood in D.C., all black, very few white people still there, except for maybe the people that owned the liquor store on the corner, the gas station down the street, who were always super cool with us, and one or two neighbors. Miss Booker, I remember her, and Miss Fimby, right next door. Everybody else had left the neighborhood. You know, when black people move into the neighborhood, all the white people move, and it becomes a black neighborhood. But that's where I started my childhood, up until probably 14, moved to the other side of town. But not until I was, I think, 14, 15 years old. And again, there was no racism because I was amongst only black people. So I never knew anything about racism. It never affected me. It never bothered me. I mean, it just didn't, because that's all I knew. Not until we moved to Maryland, and that was my first year in high school. And my first encounter with white people was, we lived right off of the campus from Maryland University, and I was walking towards the campus. 14 years old. And I was walking down the street, and a pickup truck rolled by, and a couple of white kids in the front and a couple in the back, like in the back of the pickup. And they threw beer bottles at me and called me the N-word. That was my first introduction. And I will say this, without continuing that story, it never got better. By the way, I did find out who did it. That's a whole story too. But because they went to my high school. But that was my first introduction, and it never, ever, ever got better. It never got better with the police. And when I say the police, it wasn't the D.C. police, it was Prince George's County, which is where I live. They were notorious for jacking up black people. There was a kid named Terrence Johnson that was the same age as me, and anybody from DC will remember this, about my age. He and his brother got arrested for breaking into taking the coins out of a laundromat, the machines. They ended up bringing them to the Prince George's County Police Department in Hyattsville, Maryland, where they were in the room with him, and of course nobody's there except for them. He somehow grabbed one of the cops' guns, which is not supposed to be in the room anyway, and killed Claggett and Swart. How I remember those names, you figure out why and how. And he killed the police officers. It was maddening. And if you thought race relations were bad, it got worse. So I'm going to fast forward again to let's see, 1990. I started a job at a restaurant called Malarkey's. Grew up in the restaurant industry. My father owned a few restaurants. So I started a job waiting tables. And then I became a doorman, and then I became the head doorman, and then I became assistant manager. But picture this. I'm the only black guy there. And it's an Irish bar, Irish, the name Malarkey's, but it was just, the rich side of town. Instead of Prince George's County, it's Montgomery County. It's on Wisconsin Avenue, 7201 Wisconsin Avenue in Bethesda, Maryland. If you know it now, or you knew it then, you knew I probably didn't fit in. But I started there, and I can't say if I felt comfortable or not when I first started there, but there was one other black guy, Chaz was his name, and he wasn't like from where I came from, if you know what I mean. And he had a white girlfriend, a white wife. He ended up having his own issues there, and which made me the only black guy there. But this place changed the trajectory of my life. Years later, my friends, and I will say the names here because these are my friends and they know who they are, and they know who they are to me, and they know what they mean to me. You get a lot of time when you work in a restaurant with other people to chat and talk. And as a doorman and you're sitting there checking IDs and letting people come in, if you're sitting up front with somebody else, you got a lot of time to talk and you learn a lot about each other. That was January when I started there, January 1990. So my friends that I didn't know were friends then. Years later, number one Mike told me, Michael Gormley, he knows who he is. He told me later, he says, man, we knew you didn't like white people when you started there. I was like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, shocked and offended. What do you mean? Like, are you kidding me? Rob, we knew. And I was like, what do you mean you knew? I mean, was it really that evident? I was like shocked and embarrassed for myself to put off that, especially to these people who became who they were to me. From my general manager, John Parsonette, who helped me immensely to become the manager that I am today, and every other bar or restaurant that I managed after that. That was the first bar restaurant that I had managed. And to my good friend Mike Gormley and Dan O'Donohue became my closest friends. To Chris Hall, who was a bartender, and Van Flynn, who was a bartender, who became my close friends. This was fantasy land, I told them. I don't know if they could really understand, and I got this nice message from JP the other day, from John Parsonette the other day, about what I said about Fantasyland. He actually remembered that. And I said it was Fantasyland because I had never experienced being welcome before. So that changed the trajectory of my life from there as far as race relations. I had honest to God friends that I would give my life for, still to this day. And still I keep in touch with the coolest people. Probably in my entire 57 years, 5 of the best years of my life I spent there. Live music, food and drinks, your family eating drink free, partying. We stuck together, we battled together, we had fights, we threw out people, we threw out cops and picked up their badge. We knocked out people. I had my jaw broken there. That's a story in itself. But I bring this part of my life up because this changed the trajectory of my life, because a lot of people, especially my age, didn't have that opportunity. And there are still black people who think a certain way about white people, and certain white people who think a certain way about black people. Because they knew me, they had a different representation of what black people were, and probably why I was and why, I had that attitude. I didn't know I did, but when somebody tells you that, and that many people tell you, you have to believe it. But that totally changed my life. And now, honestly, I have friends who, I won't say their full names just in case they run across this video, but from groups of people like in Philly with Al and his group, or my friend Dawn, she knows who she is, the sweetest young lady, one of the sweetest young ladies I know. To Stephanie in Phoenix, to Joe right here, to Fausto, to just good people who just treat you good. And I do a lot of trade shows and I travel for a living, and when you spend time with these people, you get close with these people because you got a lot of time to talk. So to learn a little bit about you, you learn a little bit about them. But some people are just good. People of integrity. Okay, with that said, the people that I encountered at Malarkey's are the people and the type of people who would say something. Say, for instance, the night I had my jaw broke. Two guys were outside, tattooed up. Of course, they were all white, so my friends too, everybody. I'm the only black guy there. I guess Eddie inside told me there's a fight outside. I'm like, they know they don't battle without me. So I ran outside. All my guys were up against the wall. And I said, come on, y'all, let's just go back inside. And I got the S and the I out and crack. And then it was on. It was on until, had to put him out. Put one of them out. Long story short is, he almost died that night. He was right next to me in the hospital because I had a broken jaw. That's the first time somebody ever asked me after a fight, you want to go to the hospital? I was like, yeah, my mouth was shut and crooked. Oh my God, I remember I had to get my jaw wired shut. Lost a lot of weight. The owners stuck by me, paid me as if I was there. John Roach, I can say his name. Tom Leonard, I can say their names. I mean, these people were just outstanding. And they are still the people that they were back then today. But anyway, the cops show up. And you got one guy laid out flat. And I'm sitting here with my jaw broke. And they knew that his friend is yelling. He knocked him out. He killed him or whatever he said. So the cops are like, stop him, jump on him, but jump on me. And my guy's like, no. Don't go too fast with that. I'm like, listen, I'm the manager. But anyway, long story short is, somebody has to stand up from that side to say this is wrong. First, we have to talk. We have to be able to communicate. We have to address it. We have to address the past from slavery on up. If we just like that pain that stayed with me from when I was 5.5 years old when King was shot, it's going to stay with people who are abused from a child to an adult, or anyone who went through something traumatic when they were young or younger until they get older. It's going to stay with them. Somebody has to teach. Somebody has to discuss. Just like they did in South Africa, they had the, the trial in South Africa. I think it was reconciliation. But they actually had to have trials and they had to talk about it. They forced both sides to put the pain on the table. And that this country has not done yet. And nothing is going to change until that gets done. So, we can march and make our voices heard, but not until marches like the one that I went to the other day here for George Floyd. When you see white mothers holding up the signs, pushing their babies in a cart that says justice. Not until those people stand up is anything going to change. Martin Luther King did not do this by himself. He did not do it with black people alone. He had help. He had help from white leaders at the top that made their voices known. It helps to have everybody of that persuasion to stand up, as they are in LA, in Boston, and Phoenix and Florida and DC. It is, you know, on top of all this crap we're going through with the virus, this is soul strengthening. Let me tell you, to see them out there, it's like I see a crowd full of black people and I erase the black people and I see the white people there and I notice you. And I thank you. I notice you. We notice you. And we thank you. Even if we're yelling and we're screaming and we're upset, I notice you. Around the time I was at Malarkey's in 90, 91, 92, I think the Klan was coming through town. And being in DC, there's a lot of protests. So I went downtown, probably 91 or something like that, to watch them and just, you know, protest, you know, just yell at them as they go by. It turns out, you know, it's not a big deal. It ends up 13 guys in a school bus riding down the street. But it brings out all the other people who didn't want to see, who wanted to see what was going on. So the bus comes by. Protesters are at every intersection. We're at maybe 13th and Pennsylvania Avenue, which is like, I don't know where the Justice Department or one of those departments are. And it was an older white couple there, and it was a whole bunch of black people. They just wandered in. Everybody just wandered in. What's going on? Hey, what's going on? And they wander up front. You see the police lined up, as they are now, lined up with shields and billy clubs. And just as the bus came by, nobody protested. Nobody threw anything. Nobody did anything violent. They were yelling at the people on the bus who probably couldn't even hear us. And all of a sudden, the police rushed. And I'll never forget, I was running to and I saw some guy falling. And long story short, another guy calls my friend, hey man, what's up with your boy Rob? I saw him throwing a brick, man, at the cops. What's up with that? On Fox News, WTTG. Go figure. It wasn't known as like Fox News is today, but it was a local Fox. Anyway, that's another story too. But the point is, when the police go toe to toe with those protesters, and the protesters have their point to get across, even though they may be yelling at the person that had nothing to do with it. It's the symbol that they're yelling at. But what happens is the police are people too, and they're only going to take but so much, you know, and whether they are instructed to or not, when they go, when that snaps and they go after the protesters, they don't care if you're white, black, old, young, kids, they don't care. And then the problem continues, and it's not going to get better. It's just going to injure people, and we're out there and we're protesting in the middle of a virus. Go figure. So, but let me digress for a second. We have to have forced communication. We have to put it on a table. This is what we've been through. This is what we've done for this country. Because most of the privilege that the white people have in this country were built on the back of slaves and slave labor. Did you know that the White House was made by slaves? Did you know that the Capitol was made by slaves? Did you know that that 18-foot bronze statue at the top of the Capitol with the lady holding the laurel wreath and the sword, full bronze, was made by a slave who made, what, $1.25 a day to do that? Did you know that Monticello, where Thomas Jefferson lived, was built by slaves? Did you know that Mount Vernon, where the first president of the United States, of course, who had slaves too, George Washington, lived, was made by slaves? There's so many. Did you know that Georgetown, that the Jesuit priest that started Georgetown, started by selling, 262 slaves or something like that? And from the money from that, they paid off some debts and built the college. And that's why they give grants to underprivileged African Americans for that. Did you know that University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, the oldest running public college, was built by slaves? There's so much that we've done for this country that is not acknowledged. And every time we look at that money, we have to get that feeling. And every time we hear something good about George Washington could never tell a lie, or Thomas Jefferson did this, or somebody's quoting the Constitution by one of the other people who owned slaves, do you know what that means to us? Do you know? So we need to have our own reconciliation. We need to have it where that we are forced to hear both sides But ultimately, we need to be heard for what we've done for our ancestors have done for this country. And by ancestors, it's we, because it's the same on the other side. You know, your ancestors owned us. They took that money and they reaped the benefits from it, and that's why they're still in charge now. Because he who has the money first are the ones that pay off the politicians, and let's not even go to government right now. That's a whole nother story. But we need to have our own reconciliation trials and put it all out. This is what slavery was like. Not that month in February where people talk about Martin Luther King, which is great, but they don't tell the full story. And no one knows what we've done for this country. No one knows what we've gone through. No one knows what it feels like to be followed. Until this day, I cannot walk down the street on the sidewalk and have a car creep up behind me, because the cops used to do that to me. As a kid, as a child, I cannot, Christmas time when people are following you to your space, you know, so they can take your space, I stop. I cannot have that. I cannot have that. Walking into a store knowing you're being watched. My whole youth was like that. I'm not like that anymore, but there's certain places I go where I have to wonder, am I being watched? Even at 57 years old and I have money in my pocket and credit cards in my pocket, I still know I'm being watched. Certain places. There's still certain neighborhoods that I can't go through and walk through and feel comfortable. I'm not going to feel comfortable. Now you can say that's on the individual. Yes, it is, because most of the time I choose to, not pay any attention to it, but not until I'm jacked up on a police car does what I want in reality, coincide. But we need to talk about this, and we need those in power, which I mean not the government, I mean white people, to sacrifice and lose something. That type of person that's in a crowd with their friends and nobody black around and somebody uses the N-word, the other person checks them and go, oh man, don't say that. Don't do that. And I know people that will check them. No, you can't say that. One thing, I don't know if Mike even knows this, and Mike Gormley, when I go back to Malarkeys, everybody black should have a Malarkeys. Everybody black should have that experience. We'd be a better place right now. The good thing is the kids go to school together now, so it's a lot more mixed. But I don't know if Mike actually knows that we had a talk one night, and he was like asking me, man, so why do black people say the N-word, And, he's still saying the N-word. I said, well, we mean like, dude, fella, brother. But it's just something the way that he asked me, and Mike is inquisitive, if nothing else. And from that point, I don't know if he knows, March, April of 1990. I have never said the N-word since then. I have never slipped. I've never in conversation. I can sing F the police and take the N-word out of it. I'll replace it with brother. Doesn't matter where it is. It's just in my mind. I don't say it anymore. I wanted to erase it. The only thing that I could do is do my part. Oh man, I hate to hear the word. Well, I don't care who says it. Black, white, or somebody else, especially somebody else who's singing some rap song, because they got to say it. How they even, anyway, that's a whole nother story. But I don't know if he knows, but Mike, if you ever get to watch this video, I have not said it since 1990, and it's because of you. And I thank you for the influence and the friendship. You and Dan, oh my God. We had to rent a house. I didn't have to, but we were renting a house in Ocean City, just north of Ocean City, Fenwick Island. And I knew that the owner was white, and I knew that I could not go to her house and ask her to rent the house out. So I had to ask Dan. Dan put on his jacket. He met me out there, and we got the house. Whether I would have got it or not without him, I don't know. But this is things that we have to think about before I approach anybody like that. I have to go get, my white friend to go with me to make me look like it's legit. Anyway, it's just certain things you have to think about. But my thing is, and these are only my opinions, but I want also, before I go, to just show you a couple of videos, because this is happening right now. And until someone like this one person, and they're just filming and yelling, it's going to take those people that are going to make a change, and white people in charge. It's going to take the Popoviches. It's going to take the Mark Cubans. It's going to take the people who are in power already, the sports stars, the actors, the singers, and they're going to have to stand up. We can yell as loud as we want, but we don't have any rights. And we need to vote local and stop just voting along the party lines because I don't like this person. Because no, I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. No, I voted for a third party. I did not vote for either one of them. I couldn't stand. And now I'm forced to have to vote for Biden. And I'm unhappy about that, but everybody's got to do what they got to do. I mean, they get rid of what's there right now. It's an embarrassment and a shame. And I apologize to all my friends in Guatemala, in Colombia, in the Philippines, in China, in Taiwan, all my friends in Dubai, everywhere I know somebody that I'm speaking to right now, I apologize. And everybody else I'm coming in contact with, you know, everybody Hispanic knows, you know, I know your feelings because you've let me know in some of your comments. But thanks for watching. But we need to watch these videos. And let's take a look at this one first because, again, somebody needs to stand up. This happened earlier this week. This was the same day as the protest here in Houston. The same day in Baytown, Texas. Let's take a look.
Developing right now at noon, a protest in Baytown is getting underway. People outraged at the actions of Baytown police officers caught on camera. The story first on 2.
Police taking 2 men into custody, 2 men who were recording a traffic stop, and the entire interaction was also recorded on a cell phone.
In public, put your hands behind your back.
For no problem. For no problem. For nothing.
Do not get in the middle.
For nothing.
Hey man, keep up with that mouth. I've warned you about 3 times. You're gonna go with it. Put your hands on your back. Turn around. Do not put your arms up against me. Do you understand?
Isaiah, stop.
What is your problem, dude? And if you don't get back, I'm gonna break your.
Okay, so this video is one. This happened to me when I lived in DC. I'll never forget. I was going to my apartment. I couldn't find my key in time, and the lady in front of me ran inside and shut the door real quick. So I pull out my little key fob, open the door, and I walk in. So now she's got to share the elevator with me, knowing that she just forcibly, you know, shut the door on me real quick. But look what happened to this guy trying to get into his building.
Please move, ma'am.
I can. Do you live here?
I already answered that question. Excuse me.
I'm
stop
sorry.
touching me.
The keypad is right there.
I understand that, ma'am. But
You can film me. That's
okay,
fine.
I understand, ma'am, but you're blocking me. and I live
Into
here.
my building.
Okay, and
Okay.
it's my building as well, so I need you to get out my way.
Okay, what unit?
I don't need to tell you that information. So excuse me, ma'am.
I'm uncomfortable.
Excuse me. Okay, you can be uncomfortable. That's your discretion. You're uncomfortable because you're you. I need you to move out my way, please.
No,
Ma'am, please stop touching me.
I'm not touching
You
you.
just was previously. Before.
I'm not touching you at all.
So I'm going to step in. Where I live
I'm not
at.
touching you, and I'm not in any way doing anything outside of letting my
Okay.
dog go to the
Okay,
bathroom.
and I live here and you're blocking the door.
What
You're being-
unit?
I don't need to tell you that. What unit do you live in?
307.
Okay, great. I'm on the 4th floor. Excuse me.
No. You don't have a key fob. You are. No.
Ma'am, ma'am,
If you have that, then okay.
ma'am, you're not security. You're not the property manager. You're not
No,
Mike
but
Herman.
I live here.
Okay, and I live here too. You're not Mike Herman. You're not Rick.
I don't like the fact you have your phone in my face.
Okay, I don't like the fact that you're blocking me for where I pay.
All
To
I'm
live at.
asking is what unit?
But you're not. I don't need to tell you that information, ma'am.
If you want to come into my building,
It's not your building. You're not the owner. You pay rent.
sir, you walked up on a street.
Yes,
that
yes,
has-
and I've already buzzed in. I've already
You
used
did
my.
not.
Okay, man, it does not even matter. Can you
Can
get out
you-
of my way?
No, can you show me the key
I
fob
don't.
into this
I'm
building?
not showing you anything. And the second, ma'am, I'm bound to walk through where I live at. So.
No.
Okay.
Can you show me the key fob
Excuse me.
into this? No.
Excuse me.
No.
Excuse me.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
Call the police. Whatever you want to do.
Where are you going? Do you have a key fob that looks like this? You can film all you want. I'm not being rude. I'm not being disrespectful. You walked into a building that I was taking my dog out and pushed your way in. No. Who are you going up to the 4th floor to see? I want to know who you're going to see.
So now you gotta follow me.
I am.
Why?
Because I would like to know who's friends and why you're here.
Because I live here.
And if you do, then I would like to meet you because you're a neighbor. And
You didn't start off on a good note. I don't want to do no dealings with you. I'm going to my house. I'm going to my house where I live at, where I pay.
I would like to introduce myself then as a neighbor. I would like to introduce myself.
I do not want to speak with you. Please stop following me. I'm going to call the cops for harassment. That's my next step.
I'm not doing anything outside of saying I would like to meet you.
You just follow me all the way to my door.
As a player.
And you see my keys in the door. That is so, that...
As a record, I just want to say hi.
Ma'am, how
What
about
is your name?
Ma'am,
And I'm
you just,
not-
no. Have a good night, ma'am. Don't ever do that again. You look pretty stupid on video. Have a nice night.
To
And my name's
walk-
Mr. Tolles. Thank you.
Wow.
Okay, since some people that aren't of color know how to use the police, I have to show this video. You've probably seen it already, but this lady in Central Park that is calling the cops, threatening to say that he was being menacing when he was just standing there. So check this out.
Please don't come close to me.
Sir, I'm asking you to stop recording me.
Please don't come close to me.
Please take your phone off.
Please don't come close to
And I'm
me.
taking a picture and calling the cops.
Please call the cops. Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African American man threatening my life. I'm sorry, I'm in the Ramble, and there is a man, African American, he has a bicycle helmet. He is recording me and threatening me and my dog. There is an African American man, I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog.
Okay, here's another lady that doesn't have her dog on a leash, and she's approaching a mixed couple. Take a look at this.
Here's the dog. Here's the big biter. Here's the dog.
Excuse me, you're invading my private. Look. Here you go.
All right, good, got it.
Child is crying here because of you. It's going on social media. Go ahead. You want to smile for the camera? Let's smile. Pull out your phone. You want to record me? I'm recording you. Pull out your phone. Pull out your phone. Pull out your phone. Record me.
Shame on you.
Record me. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Now why don't you go tell? Now why don't you go tell them that?
Shame.
Go ahead and tell them that. Go ahead and tell them that.
Shame on you. You brought your dog here to bite my child. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Did you just say I brought? Yes, you did. Your dog came around my child. You did not even come to take the dog away from my child.
Ma'am, you know that's a lie.
You brought
She
this
just
dog
said
around
I
here.
brought my
Let's just
dog
stop.
to bite. No,
Can we stop?
she's
It's
crazy.
recorded. It's being recorded.
She is crazy.
You're
I'm
crazy.
absolutely crazy. Everything you
See?
do is-
See?
Oh,
Good.
That
Good.
was
You just hit me, right?
Keep going.
You just hit me,
your
right?
phone.
You just hit
Good.
me.
And I have that on camera too. Thank you.
God.
Yeah, bye.
Crazy.
Shame on you.
Here's my biting dog.
Shame on you. Go.
This
You want
is
your
the
biting
dog
dog.
that
Go.
you accused me
Go.
of
Go
coming
inside
to
your
bite
house.
Your child.
Go inside your
Ma'am,
house.
ma'am.
You want you coming to talk to me? You want to come and talk to me? Pull out your phone. You want to record me? You brought your
phone-
dog around
my
my
phone
child.
will
Let me
break.
tell you something. Are you a mother? Are you a mother?
Yes,
you have
sir.
children? All right. Well, then you need to have some respect for my child. You brought a dog I don't know around my child.
You think
You brought this? I don't care. I don't know your dog.
Don't do the innocent thing.
I don't know your dog.
Here's the dog. Here's the big biter.
You're
Here's the dog.
Excuse me, you're invading my private. Look. Here you go.
All right, good. Got it. What's your name?
I'm
So let me
gonna
get
get the
my
license.
license.
Yeah, get the license
Yeah,
plate.
Look at what you're doing. Look at what
Look
you're
at what
This
you're
is my
doing.
neighborhood.
Okay.
And you have brought these people who are crazy.
Victim.
You came up to us, first of all.
And you hit my phone twice. There you go. Go ahead.
Moving. Let's stop.
Uh-huh.
Off
My
of
property.
This. No.
That's
No,
fine.
it's not your property.
This is my property.
Yes.
You're messing with
And
my
I am
stuff.
moving
Just
your
Yeah.
property.
We will move. Don't worry. We'll move it back.
to go.
We'll move it back.
Racist. You're racist. You are racist. Shame on you. Shame on you. You're racist. Racist. Shame on you.
You didn't tell them that.
Shame.
Okay, so this one, I'm not sure what the name of the restaurant is, but the lady throws the N-bomb because she was so upset. She was tense or stressed, I think she said after the fact, and she would do it again and say it again because she knew what it evoked in the other people. To take a look at this.
A white patron at a local restaurant calls a black patron the N-word.
All of this captured on cell phone video that has now generated thousands of shares and comments on social media.
Oh, you're so stupid.
We tracked down the women in both sides of this video.
WREL Sarah Kruger talked with them all, joins us now live in Raleigh. Of course, Sarah, this happening at a Bonefish in North Hills, right?
David, that's right. It happened right here yesterday evening during happy hour. The woman who used the racial slur told me today she will not apologize for her language. And in fact, she said she would use the same word again.
Just like everybody else.
This minute-long cell phone video shows an encounter between customers at the Bonefish Grill in North Hills.
This person had the audacity right here to come to our table and tell us that we are the rudest people that she has ever met. Look at her.
Then the woman, who we now know is Nancy Goodman, calls another customer the N-word.
You're too loud.
We're too loud.
In your opinion. In your opinion. Let me show you my money. It's just as green as yours. Right. Oh, you're so stupid.
We found Goodman at her home.
I'm a 71-year-old woman who lives in Raleigh. I suffer from tremendous anxiety.
She says that anxiety and the women's behavior pushed her to act as she did.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry to them because they kept pushing at it. So, and that's all I'd really like to say.
What about your use of the N-word?
I used that word because they forced me into it.
Do you see how that's incredibly offensive?
Yes, I do. That's why I said it. I would say it again to them.
She says she would use that word again to you all.
Wow.
Wow. That's sad.
Shonda Stewart is the one who took the cell phone video. Her friend, Lakeisha Shaw, is the one who was called the racial slur.
I don't care how you feel like we should have been acting. If I was standing on the table with 3 heads in a purple jumpsuit, nothing justified you to come to my table and call me a stupid.
Goodman says she regrets not asking management to tell the women to be quiet, but she made one thing clear.
So you're not sorry about saying the N-word?
No, no.
In a statement, Bonefish Grill tells us we do not tolerate hate speech or disrespect in our restaurants. They added that they are reviewing the incident to see how they can do better at de-escalating situations in the future. David.
Sarah Kruger reporting live in Raleigh.
So listen, these things are happening now, today. For everybody who thinks that this is a new phenomenon, it is not. What the difference is, this right here. This right here is the difference. Everybody is becoming their own amateur photojournalist. So make sure you have this. If you're being stopped by the police, cut your camera on. If you see something happening, at least record it. You may save someone's life. If they are not killed right then, and even if they are, we need evidence to make sure that that person does not go free. So do what you can. These are just my views, no one else's. So if you hate me, hate me. If you don't, throw it at me. But thanks for watching.